Dalai Lama is a title given to the spiritual leader of the Tibetan people and at times the political leader of them as well. Tibetan Buddhists believe that the Dalai Lama is a Tulku manifestation of the Bodhisattva of compassion. The Dalai Lama is usually identified while they are very young and plays an important role in the Buddhist faith as a world leader and as a teacher. There are four major principles that the Dalai Lama teaches. One is the promotion of human values. Buddhists aim to connect with all people, regardless of background or differences. Two is the promotion of religious harmony. The main tenet of this is secular ethics. Buddhists choose not to look at each religion as separate, but to look at the foundation of every religion and to find what makes each religion similar. Three is the preservation of Tibetan culture and environment. In the center of Tibet is a mass watershed which is vital to the health of Tibet as a whole and needs to be protected to ensure the stability of the environment. Also, many people feel that today the Tibetan culture is under siege from the Chinese government as the Chinese maintain control over the country and try to keep the Dalai Lama away. And four is the revival of Indian knowledge. Choosing the Dalai Lama. After the Dalai Lama is passed away, the high monks all get together and try to locate the next one. This process usually takes around 2 to 3 years. There are three major ways that the reincarnation of the previous Dalai Lama is found. One way is the High Lama has a dream and they look in the direction of the dream to find the child. The second way is they could cremate the previous Dalai Lama and they will follow the smoke from his body and in the direction of the smoke is where they will find the child. And three is they may go to Lama Lasso Lake and they meditate and they wait to get a vision from the lake and they search in that direction to find the child. Once they find the child, they present the child with artifacts from the previous Dalai Lama among a vast array of other artifacts in hopes the child will pick out the artifacts that belong to the previous Dalai Lama. If they choose the right ones, they may be the next Dalai Lama. The current Dalai Lama is Tenzin Gyatso. He was born as Lamo Thondup. He was born on July 6, 1935 in Tibet. He was identified as the next Dalai Lama at the age of 2 after immediately recognizing relics of previous Dalai Lamas. He began his monastic education at the age of 6. However, he was exiled from Tibet in 1959 after the Tibetan uprising. He then formed a Tibetan government in exile in India with many other Tibetan refugees that followed him. Three of the most important things of his teachings are love, peace, and compassion. The Dalai Lama strives for the togetherness of all people and wants to eliminate wars over religion and wishes to impart a peace upon the world. The Dalai Lama also teaches that one is responsible for yourself, responsible for your own life, and you are your own savior. This differs from other religions that have saviors other than one's own self. For example, Jesus Christ in Christianity. Also, in other religions, gods are worshipped, prayed to, and depended upon to save the follower. In Buddhism, it is all dependent upon oneself, not one all-powerful mighty God to save you or help you. A few of the other things the Dalai Lama teaches are that you are to take lessons from your mistakes and work to correct those. You must take care of the earth and minimize animal suffering, often encouraged by his stance on vegetarianism and veganism. Also, he teaches all suffering is caused by one's own ignorance. However, there is value through your suffering, as you may learn in the future. The easiest way
One additional thing the Dalai Lama preaches for and aspires to have is secular ethics. Secular ethics is a branch of philosophy which is based only on moral intuition, logic, and reason, not some supernatural direction or guidance. This could bridge the gap between religious differences. If we believe, as people, that religious differences do not separate us from others, then this may prevent needless war over religion and other issues and disagreements.
The Dalai Lama has passed all political power in the exiled Tibetan community to a democratically elected parliament and prime minister. While he continues to advocate for the preservation of Tibet's religion, culture, language, and environment, he does not support Tibetan independence and has proposed a middle-way approach in which Tibet remains a part of the People's Republic of China but has greater control of its own affairs.
People won't wait around and pray in order to be saved. They will take action today and do their own good deeds and not wait for gods to intervene on their own behalf in order to bring goodness into the world. Many people are arrogant and rarely acknowledge their own mistakes. However, if one were to follow the lead of the Dalai Lama and learn from their own mistakes and learn from the mistakes of others, maybe people wouldn't make the same mistakes over and over, or would be able to grow more as people. Learning from one's own mistakes is critical to growing as an individual and requires a humble person to acknowledge that and actually learn. Veganism, on an individual level, no one has the power to necessarily end animal suffering right here today. However, if one individual goes vegan, that may spare the lives of thousands of animals over that one person's lifetime. Also, cutting down on the usage of utilities and littering would be crucial to protecting the environment. One person can make a difference. Also, kindness is like a disease. A little peace, love, and compassion by one individual on a small scale can lead to a large-scale epidemic of it. For example, if one person performs a random act of compassion on grounds, someone who witnesses it or the recipient may decide they're going to make it a habit as well, and so on and so forth. Eventually, UVA will be full of people being compassionate towards and helping one another. The teachings of the Dalai Lama are very useful on a small scale.
Besides being the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism, the Dalai Lama has a reach that expands far beyond just Buddhism. The Dalai Lama has spent a large portion of his life working with political and religious leaders to try to create a better planet for future generations. He and along with others advocate for teachings and try to spread peace, love, and compassion throughout the world. The Dalai Lama's teachings could have a wide-reaching and lasting impact on the world as a whole. On a large international scale, if more countries followed the practices, the world would be a much more peaceful and loving place. His Holiness secular ethics may be the key to a peaceful world. There is no reason that Israel and Iran should not be able to conduct admissible foreign affairs with each other. If governments used to be more reasonable and logical with each other in diplomatic affairs in the Middle East, the Middle East itself may be peaceful, instead of fighting over which god and religion is superior. I believe that as long as His Holiness and the Dalai Lama is teaching and advocating, there is a chance that he can get people to listen, and this world may become a better place.
I believe that His Holiness the Dalai Lama is a great man, and his role has been very unenviable, and he had not asked for it as he was born into it. He has a great deal of duty and has been a great servant to the world. He has taken stances on a variety of other topics that we did not cover in this video, such as women's rights, and a deeper, more nuanced stance on environmentalism, and different economic policies, and much more. His Holiness is a very intricate, intelligent man with many facets about him, and his impact on the world is equally as nuanced as the man himself.